Hey,
Hey,
what's happening? You Chris?
yeah,
What's up, man?
how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for willing to do this.
Oh yeah, dude. Thanks for rescheduling. I apologize for that again.
Oh, no problem. So I could just jump around then before getting to Final Fantasy.
Oh, nice.
So, professionally, was the first thing you did a radio Disney commercial when you were like 7?
Dude. Where did that come from? Wow. Uh yeah, I mean that's pretty close. Like radio. How did you find that?
Just digging.
I'm impressed. First was well, my dad did radio all my life. And so I would say the first thing was doing stuff on his station. He once gave me like an hour of radio time where I got to do whatever I wanted when I was a kid. I think that would be the first. But yeah, Radio Disney. Um, I did all of their promos and ads and whatnot. I think for $5.25 an hour.
Okay.
So I was making like $30 a week, and I thought I was killing it.
Was LA always the end goal for you then?
Yeah, man, it was. It since I was a kid, I felt like this is where you had to be if you wanted to be an actor. And so, like my goal, I always had my sights set on this. Um, I had it set more on doing on-camera acting, and then I kind of just fell back into voiceover. Um, and I got to tell you, it's I think my favorite part of the industry. Like people are actually nice, which is weird. Like sometimes with auditions, I'll if I'm with like a room of people auditioning, someone will be like, "Hey, dude, good luck," and I actually believe them when they say it.
Yeah. Well, do you have a special story of how you got into SAG too?
um, I did a Jimmy Dean commercial when I was 11, I think, a Jimmy Dean sausages,
Hmm.
and I I was just I like auditioned for the main role. They gave it to someone else, but I was an extra in it. And then they had me like looking over the guy's shoulder. I had this like really long hair. I got mistaken for a girl like every other day. Um, but yeah, that and I didn't realize until years later that that made me SAG eligible.
Mm.
Like I was in this acting class in Florida, and she was talking about how hard it is to get into SAG. And it turns out I was in it already.
What about your first like film experiences when you did get to LA?
Um, it's wild. I moved out here, and I grew up in Texas, lived in Florida for 5 years, moved out here, and then I booked this like indie National Lampoon movie, and then from there I ended up booking this movie called Sydney White with Amanda Bynes, and that was wild because I didn't have an audition for that one. I just heard they were holding auditions in Florida, and I just showed up, and I'm like, hey, I'll wait, but I think I'm right for this. And so I just waited until like the end of the auditions, and they let me audition.
Do you still actively pursue live action too, or not as much?
I haven't as much ever since the pandemic. I can't stand how everything is self tapes.
Oh, right.
Like I need to have like a better attitude about it, I think. But like I like going in the room um with people and like having those nerves and like having that, what's the word? It's not like risk, but that like stress, that like, let's just say stress of having to perform in front of someone.
Mhm.
And I'm a perfectionist, so like the self tapes, uh, I do way too many takes, and then I just kind of lose my mind.
Mhm. So did you start?
It's the cough drop stuff. It's
Oh,
very voice actory.
yeah. So with voiceover in terms of anime, was your first character in One Punch Man?
Yeah. God, was that the first one? I feel like you know better than I do. I think One Punch Man. God, that might have been it. The one that the one that I absolutely love though is Kazuma,
Right.
and I don't know if you've had a chance ever to see that.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, dude, it is my favorite thing I've ever been a part of. It is so outrageous. Kazuma's such a dick, and like he's like it. Yeah, that one like really did something for me, like just like creatively. I took a class with the
Oh,
people
yeah.
over at Bang Zoom, the studio that did a lot of that stuff. And then, yeah, because I'm trying to, when you said, was it One Punch Man? There might have been something like really tiny stuff right before that because they like bring you in for like really shitty roles at first just to see if you can like do it. Um, and then yeah, and it turns out with Kazuma, the director told me later that I wasn't even in the first round of like picks to listen to for that, but he couldn't find what he wanted. So he's like, "Can I hear everyone?" So he heard mine, and I guess he fought for me to be in it.
Oh, okay. Well, even before Konosuba, I know you had a bigger character in a Saint Seiya.
Oh, well, you know what? Konosuba we recorded before that,
Oh,
but yes, yeah, that is true. I am in that one. That one, it's like it's more straightforward that role of like hero kind of role,
right.
and I think I just relate so much more to Kazuma, who's like kind of this coward who will like do the right thing when he has to, like begrudgingly. Um, I think I just really relate to that guy, except for the extreme perverted part. That's not me at all.
Well, this is probably obvious, but do you prefer comedy over drama then?
Well, so this is wild. That's a great question because I do. I would say yes overall, but I feel like drama is easier because with drama you just have to say the lines. Like comedy, I feel like you have to be clever. You have to. I feel like it just takes so much more work to be funny. But I found with drama, if I just say the lines, it seems like good acting. And my only trouble is that I have trouble toning down the comedy where I'm like, hey, dude, you're not supposed to be funny right now. Like, like this is serious. His mom has cancer. Uh,
Well, has there been a case for voiceover where you've had to get like the darkest emotional headspace for something?
the darkest emotional headspace. Man, I'm trying to think. I know with auditions, yes. Like there's been like auditions that I've like cried in. Um, but I almost think that Reno would be my most serious role.
Yeah.
Um, just because even though he's this kind of cavalier guy, like I feel like he's actually cool and like takes himself seriously. So yeah, I think that's the most serious thing I've done with voiceover as far as that goes.
What about the case where you've had to alter your voice the most?
God, I'm cutting together my voiceover reel right now, and I did an episode of JoJo's, and I was watching that,
Oh, right.
and yeah, and there's this weird like vampire guy I play. What are you like talking like this? And like, and it was like very like guttural at moments. I also feel like on my show Big Nate on Nickelodeon, I play this character Teddy, and he like talk like this, like I don't even know what we're like doing, man. And like I feel like that's fairly different, I would say.
Mhm.
So those two answers.
I know usually people say that they prefer working on Western animation, but since you like Konosuba so much, do you like dubbing anime more? Or
No, I you know what? dubbing is fun. I always like talk about dubbing that it's seeing how creative you can be within a box. Like, because they play the Japanese for you first, and then it's like you kind of have to follow it, but also add your own like spice to it. But with that said, with Konosuba, like I really a lot of times where it's like I'm just gonna do something wild here, and like the director every now and then be like, "Hey, that's just funny, man. That's actually not following the Japanese at all, but like I think we're gonna keep that." Um, but like original animation, I, I think is my favorite because you have so much room for creativity. You can do whatever you imagine. Like there was on that Big Nate show, there was one moment with Teddy where I was doing a scene and I was supposed to be, let's just say the line was like, yeah, I don't know, what are you up to, man? And I did it like that once, like, but then I did another take where it was like, I don't know, what are you up to, man? And the director's like, hey, Arnie, just to be clear, what was that? And I'm like, oh, in my head, I was eating an apple. And he's like, okay, let's circle that take and let them know he's eating an apple so they don't think he's having a seizure. But like it's fun that like that through my imagination now I've affected the animation of that. I think I just love that. Yeah. And that you can improvise too.
Yeah.
A lot. Like that's fun for me just to see what you can come up with that'll make it to the final showing.
Also with Konosuba too, were you basing your audition off the Japanese at all, or was it just what you came up with?
That was just what I came up with. I actually
Okay.
didn't have the reference to the Japanese beforehand, and that it's pretty much my voice. However, in my head, um, it's for some reason in my head it's Inuyasha slightly. I like loved Inuyasha as a kid.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like there's something that influenced it through that. Even though I listened to it and I'm like, well, this is just me basically. But I guess it is a little bit more like throaty, like aqua. Like I'm not even like really sure. Like you know what I mean? Like there's something throatier about it, and I think that's the Inuyasha part aspect.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask sooner was which anime growing up were you a fan of?
Dude, I love Inuyasha. Um, it I mean, though like every episode was like halfway just like repeating what happened on the last episode. I don't know if you ever watched it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every episode, it's like half of it is like previously on Inuyasha. Um, I don't know, there's something I loved Kagome and Inuyasha's like relationship. Um, though I always hated whenever what's her face came in, his ex. What was her name? The
Kikyo.
priestess. Yes, God, I always hated when she came in. Like I was like, man, get over her, Kikyo, Kikyo. Like. By the way, that took me forever to get with anime. Is like the gasps or the reactions.
Oh yeah.
Like where it's like like you're like something shocking happens and like you think it would be like ah! But it's like like that like it blew my mind.
Well, do you have a whenever you do Kazuma's or like a default line you do to get into his headspace, or do you even really have to do that?
Yeah, wait, Kazuma, it was cool. They started every session out by playing lines and I would have to listen to it and repeat it. Like I mostly don't come out at night if I don't have to. Today is one of those days where I have to. 5 hours later, target acquired. Like it just did that. Um, so that's how I'd get into that. Reno, how I'd get into him is I would always do this line where I'm like, which one of you do I get to beat up first? And like I would say that every time for some reason I would give me to Reno.
Mhm.
It is interesting that there are like lines like Teddy. I find I always do like I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. What do you like think? Like that like always gets me into him. Um, yeah, good question, dude. Are you a voice actor as well?
I went to I studied it for a while where I live, but I've been interviewing voice actors, not just voice actors, people in entertainment for like 4 years now.
Nice. Where are you at?
Minneapolis.
Oh, never been, but I hear it's super cool.
Okay, yeah. There's probably multiple, but do you have a single favorite scene with Kazuma?
um, dude, I do. I really do. It makes me laugh so hard. The scene in season one where she's like, Kazuma, I need to suck. And he's like, yes, right away. And he's like, I don't want to be immature and ask what or when or how, but yes, suck away. And like he thinks he's losing his virginity, but she's really just draining it. God, that makes me laugh, man. It's so inappropriate, and I love it so much.
Who is your favorite girl in the series?
Um, God, Megumin is just God. I love Megumin. The darkness is just so sordid. Like I like God, I like how uncomfortable her scenes make me often. Um, like how over sexualized she is and like darkly sexual. But I think I like Megumin because I like her like I like her unearned confidence in herself. I've always been a fan of characters that have this like confidence that they shouldn't have.
Are
She's
you
my final.
friends? Are you friends with all of them too in real life?
Acquaintances. I don't know them super well.
Yeah.
But like yeah, they're all like really nice. And Christina V used to be at the same agency as me, so I would see her there every now and then for like auditions. Um, but like now we don't like hang out outside of it.
I'm sure that you're excited for the new season coming
Dude,
back.
I am so excited for the new season. Like I can't wait to see what they do with this one. Um, God, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what Cosmo gets back into. You know, it's weird with some shows. It feels like you're like revisiting Friends when you do them. Like it feels like with this, like Kazuma is like someone like and like an old friend that I'm like excited to see who like cracks me up. And like I can't wait to see just like what inappropriate things he does. That's this show. There's something really comforting about it to me. It's weird to do something where you it's like better than what you imagined. Like
Oh,
when I
right.
saw the final fin, I'm like, oh my god, that is so funny. Like I was like, oh, that actually is good. I feel like you do enough sometimes where some stuff you do it and you're like, well, that was cool. But to like really be a fan of something that you've done, like that's like there's something special about that to me.
So you don't ever have a problem listening to yourself in series then?
You know what? No, I have a problem watching myself.
Okay.
Listening to myself, it's weird. I think because it's how it's animated, it's on something else. Like I feel like I'm watching someone else. Um, yeah, shockingly, I don't like, and I've watched Konosuba like a couple times of my own thing, which feels so nerdy. I've watched my own performance, but like, I actually just like the series.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, listening not so much,
Okay. So was Final Fantasy VII a really involved audition, or was it still pretty general?
dude. I so a lot of the auditions, we get emailed from our agent, and then we record them at home, like in our like booth. I mean, if this intrigues you at all, I have my booth is it's broadcast quality, and it's just my closet
Oh, yeah.
with a bunch of padding. Um, but like yeah, you'll get the audition, and uh then you record it, send it in, and just assume you'll never hear anything about it again. I got the sides for this and did an audition, didn't really put much thought into it, ended up booking it, and the booking was unusual because we were recording with Japan, and I've never had this before. Where they're like, hey, your session is from 8 p.m. to midnight, and I'm like, is this like a drug deal or something? Like this feels so weird. And it wasn't until the second session that I even knew what we were doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and because they didn't tell me my character's name, they didn't like any of this stuff, and I finally understood on the second session. That's how like secretive they are.
Was that entirely Bob directing you, or was it Kirk too?
Dude, I'm so man. You do your research, huh? Um, some of it was Bob. It was a majority of it was Kurt, and I've known Kurt for a little bit. He and I worked together before, and it's really fun working with him. Yeah, he's just such a nice guy too. Um, but yeah, it was mainly with Kirk.
Was that also a case where it was just completely up to you to come up with the voice, or was it any based off the Japanese?
So it was again, I didn't know originally what I was auditioning for, and so I just chose what I was going to do with that. When I got there, we played with it a bit. As far as what we wanted to do is influenced by the Japanese, but a lot of it was just what I came up with.
Well, it sounds, I mean, obviously it's close to your natural voice, but it sounds like it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, it's like a little bit lighter and like a little, it like it's like at this like bottom part of my voice. Um, and then I like Reno's laugh is my favorite of like it's like the unhinged like the um and I like that. I just like someone with a crazy laugh.
What aspects of him could you relate to then?
Well, this is interesting because I've described him as Reno is everything Kazuma wishes he was, like what he wants to be. And I guess the aspects I do, God, that's a great question, man, relate to are that like, I don't, there is like this secret part of me in my head that is like Kazuma. I'm closest to Kazuma. So there is this part of me in my head that like, this is what I almost want to be is this Reno guy. Like, so like there is this like kind of like part of me that like does want to like have this like swagger and like this like I don't give a shit. And it does come out every now and then in my life, but I don't live it like Reno does. So I guess maybe that's like my hidden cool guy, if that makes sense.
It was really fun. The first time that I heard it, some of the lines that he has, like the shitbird line and nothing personal, bitch, and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
nothing personal, bitch, right? Isn't that? Hey, I'm still like 4 years old because I remember as a kid doing stuff and I get to say like damn and I'm like, oh my god, this is and I still get that feeling where I'm like, I get to say bitch. It's nothing personal, bitch. Like I love that, man. Um oh but wait, what were you saying about that?
Oh, just saying it was funny to hear that
Oh,
in the English version.
I felt great about that too.
What's your favorite moment with him so far?
Wow, now that you bring that up, the bitch part felt really great. God, this is wild. I think it's just his laugh in general. And I know it's not like I think there's only one moment where he has that laugh, but there's something about that that is so just like Reno to me, like unhinged and like well, it isn't Reno because it's like him breaking out of like his normal like I don't care like kind of cool guy stuff, like to this unhinged part of him that like that laughs at death.
What do you think about his relationship with Rude as well?
Um, dude, it's interesting. I like that they have this like caring relationship. And William, who plays Rude, I find it weird. I found this with like acting a lot of times for some reason that you start to almost kind of live out your character in real life. I don't know why or how that happens. I don't know if anyone else has ever told you that, but like on a project, I start to see that I'm like doing the things that the person would do, like kind of like naturally. Um, and I like William and I, for some reason, Like if any event's going on, he always like messages me and always like, "Hey, are you coming?" And yada yada yada. And like, there's something that I don't know, just makes me think of our relationship in Final Fantasy a little bit with him. But I do like how they actually like have this caring relationship for each other.
Who are your personal favorite characters in FF7?
You know what? I was trying to think because I'm trying to think of the original because I watched my brother play the whole thing. I haven't played the new one yet because I only have a Nintendo Switch, and I'm waiting for it to come on Switch. Um, so yeah, that's my honest answer. I hope that doesn't make people hate me.
Well, what would you hope to see for Reno's character then?
Man, I would love Reno just to have more screen time in general. Um, like I would love to just see more of him. Yeah, I just think in general, like I would love to just do more with that character. Um, so I know that's like a broad answer, but like I feel like there's just so much more to explore with him, and it feels like there's depth to Reno. Especially, there's always depth to that character that wants to make it seem like they don't care, or that they like nah, nothing's a big deal. Like there's often I feel like with them like everything's actually a big deal. They just don't want you to know that.
Well, I know you probably know this already, maybe, but I know one of the main reasons why his role was reduced in Rebirth was because of his voice actor passing away.
Is that's you know I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's also really sad.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for breaking that news.
Yeah. But hopefully, 3 years later or whatever, he'll have more of a larger part again, like he did in the remake.
Yeah, I would love that. I really would.
Was Final Fantasy the main like anime game series that you were familiar with growing up too, or were there anything else like that?
Um, Trying to think. That was a huge one. I mean, I remember just sitting and watching my brother play and being shocked that I enjoyed watching him play because the story was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of what else we played as kids. Yeah, that was the biggest one. I mean, right now I'm really like taking my time with Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Um, that I describe that as like the apocalypse I never knew I always wanted. Um, but like yeah, yeah, I'm a lot of the other games we play as kids like Tekken or like Twisted Metal. Um, I'm played so much Mario Kart. We used to bet on Mario Kart as kids. Like it'd be four of us and be like, okay, fourth place person owes first place $10, third place owes first place $5, and second place doesn't have to pay anything. And we would just like play nonstop.
Yeah. Are you into much modern anime nowadays?
You know, I haven't watched anything really modern nowadays.
Okay.
Any recommendations?
Well, are you more into serious anime or comedic or?
You know, I've honestly, it's been mainly, I guess I do like a little bit of comedy um, mixed in with it, but I do like serious. God, one of my, like some that I've loved, like I love Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Um, Death Note was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's like, yeah, like I feel like Inuyasha even had like it had its like comedic aspects to it. Um, yeah, what would you recommend?
Well, I was gonna say one of my favorite ones to come out in the last 3 years was actually one that you also did just additional voices on was a case study of Vanitas.
Oh, wow. When did I do that? That's so hey, that's so wild and embarrassing. Be like, I did. Um, yeah, I guess that must have been like a really quick one. I mean, I guess when it's just doing additional voices, you're not as connected to the project.
Yeah. Well, one of the I would think it might have been one of the last big characters you did that I didn't bring up yet was your role in Back Arrow.
In Back Arrow, huh?
Yeah,
Hey, did you watch Back Arrow?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Hey, that one was so much fun. Uh, uh, Jeremy Inman, the director, is he honestly I think is the most entertaining director I've ever worked with.
Mm.
I we laughed so hard during those sessions. I was actually just thinking of him the other day. I recorded in my closet. He's in Texas. Um,
Right.
and like in Bit, we could not stop laughing at like how pathetic Bit is. And we'd often call him bitch. And 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 we oh my god, man, there's so many things that actually was not in the Japanese at all with that we added it. Like
Oh,
he is the most like kind of loose director I've ever worked with, and also like is down to like just down for comedy and like down to almost kind of break the rules a bit. I think that really makes stuff shine with him. I mean, there's even just little things. There's a moment in that series where Bit gets thrown by someone and he's in the background, and there's no Japanese, but we added in like a like even like just like little things like that.
hmm.
Yeah, that was a fun project. I had a really good time recording that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I think is interesting too. I don't think you've gotten to play any roles like this in anime yet, but your voice seems high enough where you'd be able to play like the young versions of characters. How usually women voice the young male
Yeah,
versions of characters, but
yeah,
it seems like that'd be really easy for you.
yeah. I do play like young stuff often, which is funny because I always thought I had a lower voice, and I told that to my voiceover agent, and she literally laughed. I think for a minute, like, to the point where I'm like, it's not that funny.
Yeah.
Like, um, but yeah, I do play younger stuff a lot. I feel like the sweet spot for me is like teenagers because I think I just have a normal like teenager voice just as is.
So, is there anything that you want to say to the fan base for Final Fantasy?
You know, I think just thank you for playing. Thank you for the support. I Man, I would like to engage with people more. I would love to. I haven't gone to like any cons, and I really am planning on doing that. And I say this honestly. I think every year, dude, is that I really think I'm going to start very soon getting into social media just so I can like connect with people.
Yeah.
Because I really do appreciate everyone who supports me in it and is a fan. Like it means a lot to me. I I've always been kind of shy of being like putting stuff out there and be like, hey, look at me. But like if it's like something where I'm like I get to meet people who like it, like I love that. So thank you. I think just sincerely thank you.
Well, was that Streamily signing you did somewhat recently? Was that your first time?
Yes,
Okay.
that was my first time doing that, and I again it like kind of embarrasses me because you have to use social media. So like I'm like God, I'm so weird with social media. Like so there's something about that like because I never go on ever. So it kind of just feels like a weird like, hey guys, I'm just on here, so I'll sign things. Like I don't know. But I would love. I was thinking about getting into doing some cons coming up, especially with the new Konosuba coming out and with Final Fantasy. Um, so I would love that. I would love to meet fans. Like I think that's fun. I like connecting with people in general.
Mhm. Maybe you do know this already, but I mean, especially for Kazuma, there's a really big fan base, like just for your performance.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, I like semi know that. And like that's the thing. I think I need to get out and meet people with this, like, because that's um I guess I don't fully realize that, or what you mean. I just like the role, but I haven't really met a lot of people who have seen Konosuba. I guess because a lot of my friends aren't into anime, as you know, so maybe that's what it is. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I would think maybe that there's more people that you're friends with that are like into Final Fantasy and know your role.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Final Fantasy. That's so wild, but yeah, like Final Fantasy usually you tell people you're in that, and they're like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "You're Reno?" Um, I really haven't met a lot of people, though. I do know there are people that fans of it that know Konosuba,
Yep.
which is a shame. I'm not. I feel like I'm plugging Konosuba over Final Fantasy on it. Yeah, but that's good to know, man. Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that's upcoming you're part of you can safely talk about, or
What is it? I've been doing a lot with Nickelodeon, and I really can't say much about this, but I'm developing a cartoon.
oh wow.
That is, it's action and comedy. Um, and I'm a year into development, and it's wild. You have to. It started off almost kind of just like shallow, like monster of the week kind of thing, and the amount of depth we now have in this project is so wild. I'm really excited about it because also like it's really dark at moments too. I think that's all I can really say about it right now. But that's a new endeavor for me in life is now I'm going to be writing this and acting in it as well. Um, so that's something I'm really excited about.
Okay.
And since it's animation, you'll probably hear about it in like 2 years.
Well, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
What do I want my legacy to be? Like legacy role or just like legacy just in general?
Typically, people answer for career and as a person.
Um, wow. I feel like this. God, that's a good question. Um, I think I'd like a lot of stuff. I'd like doing things that just make people smile and make people laugh.
Yeah.
That brings like lightness uh, to people's lives. I feel like I also would love to do some like have a legacy of a role that encompasses like the comedic aspects of me, but has moments that can actually really like break someone down and make them like feel something deeply, something that you really connect to. Um, as far as like life legacy, um, when I was 18, I decided that the meaning of life is there is no meaning to life and that it doesn't matter and it's pointless. And so then I might as well try to be as positive as possible and affect everything positively around me because it's just so much more fun. So I think I think my legacy in life is I would like to leave everything a little shinier than before I interacted with it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Hey, dude, great questions, man. This is I honestly legitimately think this is the best interview I've ever had.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
yeah, legitimately. So sorry. I cannot believe I know you shouldn't over apologize for things, but I was like honestly just shocked. I'm like, I cannot believe I missed that and like upset at myself. So I sincerely apologize for that again and really appreciate your flexibility and your understanding.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no problem at all.
dude, how's it over there in Minneapolis?
It's actually really nice. It's been unusually warm this year, so it's like today it's almost 70, which is really insane.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, it's like kind of like a very like alternative town, right?
What do you mean?
Like it's like kind of like hipster esque, like almost like Austin, Texas, or like or
Oh,
no.
Yeah, I guess I would say that. I would say that too. You know, it's fortunately it's like entirely liberal, pretty much.
You said fortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. That's often nice about LA.
Hmm.
Everyone just kind of live and let live, which I'm all about.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day then.
Hey, you too. Really appreciated this. I enjoyed this a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
You have a good one, man.